You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could. 'Cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
All right, folks. Well, guess what? It is Thursday evening. It is now officially December the 1st. Guess what? 24 shopping days left till Christmas. Yeah, that's right. I rubbed it in. I got most of my Christmas shopping done already. Don't know about you jabronis, but I'm almost done. Funny thing is, there's a story there, because the wife, when, the internet first really started getting popular and everybody started buying things online, the wife was all, no, it's more fun to go to the stores. Guess who's been doing a lot of Christmas shopping online this year? Not just me, the wife's been doing it too. Anyway, so good evening, this is Jenn and Rick. I am one half of the crew, Rick. She's the other half, Jen. Good evening, ma'am. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Hanging in there.
So is it just me, or do you still feel like you're shaking off a turkey coma? Because I'm not going to lie. It's just this whole week has just been like, I think I can.
Like I was telling you before this, it's like I can't keep my days straight. I'm all discombobulated, and I think it's from the holiday weekend and, all that fun stuff that entails and throwing everything off.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think it was the whirlwind that was November. I mean, we had PTSD election results. We had
I think we're in I think that's probably a lot more accurate. We're in the aftermath of one of the most intense and traumatic Novembers that has ever been.
Can you imagine what it's going to be like 4 years from now? Because you know as well as I do, Trump is walking away sometime midterm. He's going to be like, yeah, I'm out. I'm done. Hey, Pence, it's all you, buddy. It's all you, buddy. And everybody else is going to be like, huh? And we're going to be sitting back going, we tried to tell you he wasn't serious about this job, but you wanted him, so now you got Pence instead.
Yeah, I don't. Man, I can't either.
As much as we're laughing about it, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I'm just saying.
I don't know that it would be the worst thing in the world either. I mean, I think Pence is fairly controllable.
Yeah. I at this point, I'm not sure anybody that's in Washington or about to be headed towards Washington is anywhere near controllable anymore. Because it just seems... We're just watching more and more and more of the same. The one bright spot is watching all the liberals freak out that Trump finally confirmed Mattis. Every liberal on the planet is like, he just did what? We're all going to die. And I'm sitting back going, heh.
Well, and they're having such a conniption about it being non-military, about it being a military pick instead of a civilian, as has been somewhat the tradition, but not always. So that is making them all scream bloody murder. But I also think it's just kind of really awesome that our SecDef may end up being a guy whose nickname is Mad Dog.
I mean
think about
honestly,
going to the table.
That's great.
Yeah, think about going to the table with that. Oh, hi, yeah, I'd like you to meet gentleman Mad Dog. Oh my gosh, it's great. I also love some of his quotes. So I didn't know a whole lot about him, and then I've had some of my military friends that are geeking out over this because they seriously think this guy is amazing and they idolize him, and it's mostly because of his bluntness and because of his inability to kind of sugarcoat things and how just very straightforward and what a Army's guy he is, and of course he was a Marine, but you know what I mean, armed forces. But one of my favorite ones is the one where he says, there's a couple that are really smart, engage your brain before you engage your weapon. He has a lot of things that were reported that he said, about things which the left likes to use. Things like there are some a-holes in the world that just need to be shot. Or supposedly to Iraqi leaders after the invasion. He said, I come in peace. I didn't bring artillery, but I'm pleading with you with tears in my eyes. If you F with me, I'll kill you all. But my favorite of his is one that he says apparently to his Marines. He said to his Marines very routinely in Iraq, which was be polite, be professional, but have a plan to kill everybody you meet. I mean, I just think that's dang good advice. So I don't know about you.
Well, it's a very militaristic way of saying advice that I give my children all the time. Hope for the best, plan for the worst. I mean, that's basically exactly what that is. You go in with the best of intentions, but if somebody F's with you, you F them up.
Also and they keep trying to like pull this quote and a couple of the others like completely out of context, as if he, said it at a dinner meeting over scotch or something with just regular people. No, he was talking to Marines in Iraq and how they should stay vigilant. He also said there's only one retirement plan for terrorists, and that more gives you the context of what he means when he said be polite, be professionals, but have a plan to kill everybody you meet. He's not talking about like at your boss's Christmas party. He's talking about these men that were placed in some of the most compromising positions that a soldier will ever face. So it was to misconstrue it because. But the left doesn't understand any of this. They can't even put themselves in the mindset that soldiers have to be in, or people that support the troops have to be in, even if they claim to support them. They don't get it. So it's not really that surprising that they would take these things and try to run with them as a way to, to kind of tarnish him and make him seem outrageous.
Well, I mean that's their only weapon they have. That's how they get everybody engaged. They make outrageous statements, or they make anything that anybody else says sound like an outrageous statement. It reminds me of a tweet that I saw today from someone who shall remain nameless, who actually tweeted out that Rosa Parks was being celebrated today because this day in history she refused to give up her seat. If she tried to do that today, she'd likely be shot.
Oh gosh, I saw that. I wanted to put my head through a wall. But I mean, but that's they have to view things through these very limited and inflammatory lenses. I was just talking actually to my husband before we came on the air about how there are so many things. How many times has Mitch McConnell been called a racist and a sexist? A lot. He's married to a minority who he has encouraged to be extremely ambitious and successful. I don't think that either one of those terms applies to him in any sort of logical or fair way. But they can't lay out reasons. They have a hard time being able to, as do conservatives actually, laying out reasons why you could legitimately argue against this person and oppose them, because people start to tune out when you talk about a debt ceiling, and you talk about you start throwing out numbers and saying, and he approved this bill on this. People go, who cares? Whatever. That's just like law stuff. But if you're like, he's a sexist, everybody's like, oh man, fire him now, get him out of here. They're ready to bring the torches. So that's kind of what this tweet about, she would have been shot. I mean, that's what they're kind of doing. It's this like virtue signaling. It's this whole like trying to get attention, trying to make some sort of outrage happen that is just so ridiculous. He has no way to know that could even be close to the case. African Americans are arrested more often than they are shot. That's the fact of the matter. Every American, I mean, of any race, of any demographic, is arrested more often than shot. Period.
No, I mean, it's just can we just put all the rhetoric and the hyperbole aside for a second and stop talking about how a brilliant historical figure who was brave and actually very, very much of a trailblazer for her time, who was facing real racism, actual racism, and if anything, ran the risk of being shot back then. And people are like, well, if she tried to do that today, some white person would just shoot her. Now, let's be completely real for just a second, because honestly, in this day and age, there's no telling who might actually shoot somebody for refusing to give up a seat, because we seem to be surrounded by completely crazy people. Race has absolutely nothing to do with it. We have a group of people that think that nothing matters but what they want, when they want it, and how they want it, and they better get it now. So, I mean, there's no common courtesy or decency at all anymore in most places, if you really look at what the media is trying to tell everybody anyway. So, I mean, but for somebody who, and this person that I'm still going on about actually has a verified Twitter account. I'm honestly really starting to think that you have to have the IQ of a potato to get the blue check mark. I'm just really starting to not see it, because there are plenty of people that I see that have that check mark that are room temperature at best. That person being one of them. Another Spreaker host that we make fun of quite often, who I'm not going to mention his name anymore because the election's over. I don't want to give him any more coverage. But it's just crazy that we have people that have figured out that all they have to do is say crazy stuff on Twitter and everybody eats it up. It's the same thing we watched play out over and over again with the election cycle. Well, go ahead.
I also want to say that they're also the first to get other accounts suspended for some sort of mythical abuse and harassment. You know, they can say whatever they want, and they say these inflammatory things like police just shoot black people, and then they get all of this blowback, and instead of either A, ignoring it like someone who, like they could, as they have that adult choice to make, or B, doubling down on it, then they also allow people to be reported and then possibly suspended, and they accuse others of harassment, and they know Twitter takes it more seriously. I can report someone all day that is actually targeting harassment at me, and I will get no response, and it will take me putting that message into 8 different DM groups and trying to get people that have 20, some of my friends that have 20, 30,000 followers, and them tweeting it constantly and getting 30 retweets before anything will be done to someone issuing a legitimate threat against me or actually harassing me. And the people with the verified accounts, especially on the left, seem to abuse it, or at least they get special treatment because of it. So that's another part of all of that like really annoys me when they say all this really ridiculous stuff, and then they come back and go, "When boo me, all these people attacked me." Well, don't say things like cops want to kill black people.
And that's kind of it too. I mean, because I understand free speech is free speech is free speech, but we used to have this thing called a filter. There used to be things that would stay between your ears and not leave your mouth, and we seem to be surrounded by people anymore that don't have. Not only do they not even have filters, they don't even try to engage a filter. They just randomly spout out whatever they think is going to get attention on social media. And again, going back to what I was talking about a moment ago, the thing that took me back about this election cycle is I think it's the first time in my lifetime I ever saw the two main political opponents actually going at each other on Twitter like 5-year-olds. Over and over again, they were doing that to each other. And I'm just thinking, has social media made things better or worse? Because as somebody who has to use it as a tool, I'm grateful for social media, because social media is part of what's helped us build what we're doing here and helped us build a following and get to the point where we've got shows that are heard hundreds of times a day all over the place and in several different markets and everything else. But at the same time, I'm watching people that have learned how to use social media for nothing more than a club over somebody's head. And I'm just like, are we making things better or are we making things worse? Because when both presidential candidates look more like schoolyard bullies, then what exactly are we accomplishing?
I don't know. I mean, that just seems to be kind of what it is now. You just go, there's just this like back and forth. And, and everybody obviously like throws around the terms harassment and bullying. And, we witnessed a pretty real example of journalistic harassment with the most recent HGTV hit piece by BuzzFeed. But, and then we saw the breakdown. We saw the editor of BuzzFeed, Ben, go back and forth with even eggs on Twitter, basically doubling down on a completely shoddy article based completely on conjecture, basically, and then trying to say that it was for something it wasn't and coming back to it, and we'll explain it in a minute. But that kind of back and forth, and then saying all of these people are targeting me, all of these people are harassing me, and this kind of I know you are, but what am I? But almost in reverse, like people going after others, including, like you said, our presidential candidates at a time, going after others and then getting mad when they come back and then highlighting that as some sort of mark of their character and calling things abuse just pretty willy-nilly. All of it is just, it's just all a part of this craziness that has become kind of everyday life now. I mean, it really is. It's all the time, whether it's Facebook or Twitter, or even stuff happens on Instagram and Snapchat. I mean, it's just crazy what this has blown into, like, developed into.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of beside myself today because I'm still, like, right now the term Mad Dog is trending on Twitter, so I've been going through that. Oddly enough, most of the tweets surrounding that are positive. I actually expected quite the contrary, because at some point today, because everybody's been talking about it for a week, everybody was pretty sure it was a foregone conclusion that it was going to be General James Mattis that wound up becoming the Secretary of Defense. Sorry, I kind of spaced out there for a second. But it was actually finally announced today. So depending on where your political compass is, you're either somewhat elated by this, because we have on the right have watched Obama basically dismantle the military now for the last 8 years, to the point of where he removed anyone that he felt was going to actually try to win a war in a fashion that he didn't agree with. And that's one of the first things that I saw when in this the trend was, that remember General James Mad Dog Mattis, USMC, fired by Obama for being too tough on enemies. And now he's coming back as the Secretary of Defense. And that was something that I'd actually forgotten about, but that is actually a true statement, because he was actually removed by Obama, along with a lot of other top-ranking generals that Obama felt were just going to be over the top and do what the military does. And that's the thing that the left has never understood, and I'm not sure if a lot of people on the right understand it really now either. The military is not out to win friends and influence people. That's not why the military exists. The military should only ever be used as a last resort, because when we call them in, their whole tactics, their weapons, their training, their indoctrination, because let's face it, they are indoctrinated. We can say they're not all we want, but I have family and friends that have been in the military, and they'll be the first ones to tell you that they basically break you apart in basic training and put you back together in the image of your fellow recruits. So there is truth to the fact that they're indoctrinated. But the simple fact of the matter is, when you deploy them, they should be sent in as a last resort and only to kill things and to kill people and break things, because that's what they're trained to do. This whole namby-pamby idea that we've had about the military now for the last 30, 40 years in general needs to go away, because the simple fact of the matter is they're not allowed to execute a war in a way that they could actually win any longer, because we keep hamstringing them. That was one of the things that Trump said in the beginning that I actually agreed with. And then he went crazy and started talking about, as president, he would command soldiers to fire on enemies of enemy combatants' families, and they would be okay with it because he was President Trump, or as I used to make fun of him back then and call him Mojo Jojo, because you will do these things that I have told you to do because I am Mojo Jojo. But anyway, I'm kind of digressing a little bit, so I apologize.
No worries.
But yeah, so the whole thing of it is we are watching a cabinet get put together, and both the left and the alt-right are becoming severely incensed by his choices so far, because the left is afraid of him. The alt-right is mad because, he kept using the phrase drain the swamp, drain the swamp, drain the swamp. But a lot of people that he's looking at have been Washington insiders for a long time, or are in some ways affiliated with Washington insiders. So they're watching all of these picks and they're like, what did we vote for? And it's just kind of funny to watch, because the left is blowing up, the alt-right is blowing up, and the conservatives are in the middle going, we kind of told you this was going to happen.
I mean, we told you. Oh, yeah, we told you so. Just so far, it's going better than I expected. I mean, I honestly did not expect. I expected him to walk back, some of the things he'd say he'd do, like a special prosecutor for Hillary Clinton was a very obvious one. The wall will be another one. How much of that actually happens? What of that holds true on his hard immigration stance that is ever changing? It started out very hard, and now it's been all over the place 20 different times. But I think that for me, who was almost more terrified of Trump, or was more terrified of Trump than I was of Hillary, even though I despise her, this is better. This is going better because he's actually picking some of these people. And I don't know whether whose decisions these are, who's really putting in the hard work on this. But so far, it seems to be pretty good. The kind of people that I would want someone that I wanted to vote for to nominate for some of these positions, a Cruz or a Rubio or, whatever, even a Paul Ryan or someone. I would want them to institute these kinds of people, and I would expect them to. I didn't expect Trump to. I thought especially after the Bannon thing, I thought we were definitely going to go that way. I knew he would disappoint the alt-right in a number of things. I just wasn't sure. I just am pleasantly surprised that he's disappointing them on the front of cabinet picks. I think it's fantastic. And bonus, it is making the left insanely mad.
Yeah, honestly, that's the one thing in all this that has actually made this somewhat enjoyable. Because, I've been a guy that, has been like, I'm going to try to do my best to give him the benefit of the doubt until he's sworn into office and then see what he's actually going to do. But the funny thing is, like him or hate him, he's actually accomplishing things and he hasn't even been sworn in yet.
Right. He is. And, people can say what they want to about this carrier deal with keeping 1,000 jobs there, and they can poo-poo how many there are because 1,500 were leaving and they're only keeping yada, 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 whatever. That's still an accomplishment. That's still something that was, great to be worked out before he even takes office. I don't know how you criticize some of the things that have gone on that seem to be pretty positive. I mean, you can just do it just because you don't like him, and so you just want something to grumble about. But I think that's silly. I don't like to operate that way if I can help it. It's just like all the people that are either all for Obama no matter what he does or all against Obama no matter what he does. I try to at least give credit where it's due, and I think that there are a lot of things that are happening that Trump deserves the credit for. He's also still out there being the buffoon he is and saying plenty of things that I can criticize him for. So whatever. It's a win-win for me.
The funny thing about this presidency that we're about to start watching unfold, we used to have two distinct sides to the Obama presidency. We had Obama out there constantly in campaign mode, occasionally saying things that were outlandish, and then they would occasionally let crazy Uncle Joe off the leash, and that's when everything would come unhinged. Donald Trump is managing to play both parts without a crazy Uncle Joe. And it's just kind of funny to watch because one minute he'll be serious and he'll actually accomplish something, and then in the next breath he's like, "But we should ban anyone from the country who burns the American flag because that's bad." It's just, I mean, look, and back to the carrier thing for a second. Let's be honest. So he's promising them $7 million worth of some sort of tax breaks to keep the $1,000 here or 1,000 jobs here. That is that's a net loss now of 500 jobs instead of 1,500, even if he doesn't find a way to save those other 500. What were they going to use that $7 million for? Especially since the other night you and I were going over a couple of things that were in the most recent edition of Federal Fumbles, and I went over those about 15 deep in the show America Off the Rails after you and I talked about the gas station. And I found out something that we didn't even know when we were laughing so hard about the gas station. We missed a pretty key point. So remember, that was $43 million, but these people are upset about $7 million. And it was a compressed natural gas station, and they didn't have a delivery system for compressed natural gas in the area that they decided to put that gas station. So it was a complete waste of $43 million. At least we spent $7 million to save 1,000 jobs and keep them from going to Mexico. At least it's going to accomplish something, instead of, by the time I had gone through the 15 that I had time to go through on America Off the Rails, we had added up over $7 billion in wasted spending. $7 billion with a B. And people are mad because he's promised $7 million to keep 1,000 jobs in the country that are actually manufacturing a real product. I've seen people comparing this to Solyndra. Nobody even knew what Solyndra made. So it was just basically a slush fund. At least in this, we know we're getting to keep jobs. I don't have an issue with spending money if it accomplishes something. Maybe that's just me.
Right. I mean, I think in general, I am more opposed to it than for it, just on a very basic principle of the Fed spends way too much money as it is. But there are various reasons at times to spend money when there is going to be a gain or a net return. And so I agree with you on this. And I think in my gut, my first reaction for pretty much anything is like, no, don't spend the money. But this is such a different, and like you said, when you compare it to things like Solyndra and even other things that have happened in various administrations, and more in the Obama administration that didn't get as much coverage as Solyndra did, this is such small potatoes. It's just a small gesture to really help a town and a company keep their jobs in America, and I think that's worth it.
And I completely agree, but at this point, we have hit the bottom of the hour. We've got to take a really quick break. You're listening to Jenn and Rick right here on KLRNradio.com. We will be right back here in just a couple minutes.
Back down.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
And welcome back to Jenn and Rick. We're right here live on KLRNradio.com, where you can find us every Tuesday and Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central, or 7 Pacific, depending on where you listen to us at. And we are going to change gears a little bit and talk about something that has been kind of percolating in the media for the last couple of days. Jen, I think I'm going to let you take the lead on this one because I've been talking a lot.
Okay. So this is about BuzzFeed's cute little Kate Arthur's piece on the host of HGTV's Fixer Upper show, Chip and Joanna Gaines. And they are actually from Texas. They are based in Waco, which is about an hour and a half north of where I am, and which I've traveled through quite frankly. And it's a little wacko, but they're probably the best part of it, as is their market that they started, the Magnolia Market, which features products that they use on their show. And, you know, it's got a whole nice little grounds and picnic area. And they had like a pumpkin patch during October that my mom and my aunt took my son to. And anyways, they're just really well liked, really well respected, and have a popular TV show that people just love. So BuzzFeed's Kate Arthur decides to write this little smear campaign on them, where she basically she goes after them for attending a church that the preacher believes in or preaches traditional marriage, and that homosexuality is a sin. I'm not sure about you, but is this newsworthy to anybody else that a Texas pastor would say that he believes in the Bible?
Wait, so you mean there are still people down there in that great state of yours, Texas, that think the Bible is actually the Word of God?
I tell you what, they do. Isn't that something? So basically, I mean, this is the news, is that some pastor at a church in Texas believes in gay, and they attend it. So do they or do they not also support his views? And of course, then and this whole thing just spun out of control. Their editor, Ben, Ben doubled down on it instead of apologizing or even pulling it. It's just a ton of conjecture. She says she tried to reach them and they didn't respond back. So, then she even writes 2 lines about whether or not HGTV is anti-homosexual or if they would allow homosexuals on the show. Again, I'm not sure what these people are trying to get at. If anyone has ever watched more than about 10 minutes of HGTV, you know that there are very often not only gay couples on shows that are on their station, but also there are often gay guests and hosts. So this is absolutely, shocker in the decorating, fixing world that there would be, in design world, that there would be homosexuals involved. Of course there are. And it's just so absurd that they're trying to spin this. And that's what Ben did, was he tried to spin it into, no, this wasn't about the couple. We were questioning HGTV's policies and whether or not they were, basically gay friendly. And would they allow people on their show or on their network that were gay, which all you have to do is Google for 5 seconds and find absolutely, and they do all the time. So that automatically that was false. It was just spinning, because a couple people said, oh yeah, that's what I always do when I am writing an article where my main question is this one thing, but I only write 2 sentences out of 18 paragraphs on it. It was just absolutely absurd. It was obviously a way to smear the couple and kind of take them down based on their religious beliefs, and religious beliefs that are neither confirmed nor denied. So it was completely irresponsible journalism. It was just absolutely outrageous. And I liked, there were several people, Cosmo picked it up and then they put it out to their readers and they wrote their own little piece on it. And then Jezebel, which is just ridiculous, but Jezebel puts it out and theirs was, now we know why we don't want to move to Waco. And as a Texan who has lived near Waco a lot of my life, let me tell you, if that is your reason why you don't want to move to Waco, then you've obviously never been to Waco. And you have no idea what you're talking about. There are many other reasons than some couple that may or may not believe in traditional marriage that's on a TV show. Absolutely insane. So a lot of questions started to come up about it, and people rightly just went after BuzzFeed over this. And Gabriel Maller is someone who has written for a lot of different places and pretty well respected. He also happens to be a gay man. And so he wrote a few things that I thought were pretty great about it. He was like, number 1, target popular couple. Number 2, fail to ascertain their views. Number 3, publish piece anyways. How is this legitimate reporting? And he sent it to @BuzzFeed Ben. No, it's not.
It's trolling.
And he said, to put it this way, BuzzFeed would never publish a piece. This Texas pastor you've never heard of opposes gay marriage. The target here was the couple. But the reporter never ascertained the couple's view before publishing the piece about them. That's purely harassment, not journalism. Why does this matter to me? Because you will never change a person's mind by harassing them. You're hurting the cause by doing this. This is another example, by the way, of a culture warrior's utter failure to grasp how Trump managed to convince so many voters. Have they learned nothing from Chick-fil-A, Duck Dynasty? Harassment is not a good tool of persuasion. Stop doing it. Harassment like this may intimidate the victims and other people who see it go on, but harassment will not change minds. It only hardens resolve. And then it goes on. And he then says, nobody comes out of media harassment like this unscathed, not the victims, the gay cause, fellow journalists, and not the reporter either. With regard to the last, reputation is everything. And do you think people are going to forget Kate Arthur and BuzzFeed harassed this couple? I don't. And I thought that was really good. And then I started seeing a bunch of stuff come out about, what's the difference between questioning who their pastor is and questioning and what he believes and questioning Jeremiah Wright? Okay, I can think of several reasons. But number 1, you're talking about a TV reality show couple who have nothing to do with the public sphere, who do not cross lines of this whole church and state that Democrats want to institute so badly, and have no effect on our laws, versus a senator then becoming POTUS, who is a lawmaker and has great influence over our government and what we do with our taxes and how we deal with things like religious liberty and other forms of speech and expression. So it's extremely different. And then beyond that, the things that Jeremiah Wright was saying, the things that people took issue with were mostly that he was being largely political and racially motivated, not religiously so. He wasn't preaching about God, and when he was saying GD America, and when he was saying that, we deserved 9/11 and all these things, he wasn't bringing God into it at all. He wasn't bringing the Bible into it at all. So when you talk about this pastor who is preaching about what is actually written in the Bible and still believes it and is passing it on to his congregation and giving sermons on it, versus someone screaming politically and racially motivated sermons from the pulpit, not even sermons, just statements from the pulpit, often very inflammatory and contradictory to the Bible. Actually, many of the things that he said were extremely just inappropriate and hateful. And then, of course, the other thing is that Obama, after saying that he'd never missed a service in 20 years, then pretended like he barely knew who he was and may have been in his church once or twice. So those are the main differences here. I do think it's fair to question why they aren't the same, but they just are not.
No, exactly. I mean, truth be told, they're not the same. I mean, look, we're talking about the beliefs of a pastor that do not go against the teachings of the Bible. Jeremiah Wright's beliefs in a lot of ways were completely contrary to the Bible.
Absolutely.
The Bible.
Well, and not only that, but it's that the media can pretend all it wants to that this is not still a mainstream, like a main held view of a mainstream religion, but it is. I mean, Christianity, whether it be evangelical or even in other sects of Christianity, most still believe that in traditional marriage and believe homosexuality is a sin. Do all of them believe that it condemns you to hell for all of eternity? No, people have changed their minds on how they kind of view what that sin means. And also, by the way, almost all Christians believe that all sins can be forgiven and should be and will be if asked and if accepting Christ. So they're not damning these people to hell, and they're not also saying that they don't love them or cannot be around them or don't want their children to ever see them or anything like that. And I realize there are always going to be your nut jobs that are going to be like that. But as a whole, this country has done nothing but show people of Christian faith being kind and considerate of this kind of thing. I mean, there weren't riots in the street over the Supreme Court ruling on same-sex marriage. There wasn't, because people are accepting it, and it is not rude or not politically correct for someone to say, I'm going to pray for you because I'm afraid for you because I believe your lifestyle is a sin. Well, you say that about a drug addict. You say that about someone who beats their wife. You say that about someone who's just a crappy parent. I mean, there are all sorts of reasons why we pray for each other, because we're not sure their heart and soul is in the right place. And we want them to be, as Christians, we want them to join God's kingdom. So that is not a reason enough to say that this is hateful.
Exactly. But I mean, here's the thing, and just to backtrack for just a second. Again, this is what I've been talking about now for the last few days on America Off the Rails, and that is the fact that the media no longer tries to get things right. They try to get to a story first, and in this instance, it wasn't even really a story. They created clickbait for trolling purposes. That's all this was. They didn't even know the actual, if the beliefs of the couple completely aligned with the pastor. Right. And there was no point in bringing up the pastor's name because nobody knew who that was. So they went after the couple because they know if they mentioned them by name, they were going to get people reading. I mean, oh my God, look at these hateful Christians again. Look, why is it hateful to tell someone that as far as you're concerned, the Bible says that something that they're doing is wrong. That would be like it being hateful because you're mad because somebody murdered your sister. Because where did we learn that murder was wrong?
Right. It is just, I don't know. I think it's just so maddening that it has come down to this. And, here's what they've got going. This is what they really think and what they just won't say right now. But someone did say it. And, his name is Oliver Willis, and he's a research fellow at Media Matters, which I think is really kind of a disgusting title for him because he seems to do little to no research. But he says that we've got that basically it's 2016. If you're opposed to same-sex marriage, it's no longer just a difference of opinion. You're wrong. He gets to be the judge and jury and issue this moral edict. And that's really what so many of them believe and think. They just won't all spell it out quite like that. But they prove it every day in the way that they do things. I think that I just think that we have been so conditioned to kind of just accept this and put up with it. And, conservative media has been screaming for years against some of these things. And we've also condemned people that have not been, worthy of supporting that have been crucified by the left. Paula Deen used racial slurs. Pile on her little butter butt. Josh Duggar molested his sisters. He's not going to get my protection, though I don't think the whole family, deserve to be dragged through the mud, or the victims especially exposed. But this, it's actively seeking a reason to shame and hurt people for basically daring to have fairly mainstream religious beliefs that don't align with their preferred views. That is just ridiculous. Here they are. They're like, guys, don't jump to conclusions. This guy who killed people while yelling Allahu Akbar needs to be understood. We don't know his heart or intentions. Everybody settle down and definitely don't get mad at him. He was obviously a troubled man. But hey, you know what? Like Chip and Joanna Gaines, they go to a church that believes in the Bible, crucify them like they're cruel and unjust savior. That's what it feels like. It's utterly absurd, and it's absolutely out to destroy reputations of those that don't believe as they do. Yet they will always protect several other religions, mostly Islam, which has far more antiquated beliefs than anybody practicing Christianity right now.
So you sure he was yelling Allahu Akbar? I heard he was yelling, I'm looking for a snack bar.
Was it? Maybe so. Maybe he was looking for a snack, and then he was just mad people wouldn't give it to him, so he ran him over. I don't know. I'm not even talking about him in particular. I'm just saying, anytime there's a case, there's any sort of terrorism, it's like, whoa. And also, by the way, he was definitely not a Muslim, not in the real sense, and yada, 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 yada. But, this couple attends church that preaches the Bible the way it's written, and holy cow, everybody lose your heads over it. Let's go. It's so intolerant, and it's so not progressive for them to behave this way, but they think it is. So they would rather force their beliefs on you and run around like little fascists that way, even though they love to call the right fascist.
So you know what? We're about out of time, but I have an announcement. We were talking about this before airing, but I want to let folks know, because we've been working on this now. As you know, the America Off the Rails show has been on the Lanterns Radio Network now for the last couple of weeks. Well, we are actually slowly starting to incorporate a lot of the other shows that I do with co-hosts, like this one, Jenn and Rick, and Finding Common Ground, and the Robinson and Wright show. Well, starting next week, not only will you be able to catch us right here on KLRNradio.com, you are also going to be able to find the Jenn and Rick show over on the Lanterns Radio Network. We're actually one of the first ones transitioning over now that I've gotten used to how their system works and gotten used to doing things for Off the Rails. Now, I just want to give you a bit of a warning. If you're still listening to us live over here, that does mean that the opening break or the opening commercials for the show will get slightly longer. So just, make your drink a little stronger. You'll need about another 2.5 minutes to get through. But it just makes things easier because we're on a shorter time clock over there than we are over here. So just wanted to give folks a heads up about that, but pretty excited about being able to syndicate this show off onto another platform, because it's always great to get more places to play your stuff. So yay.
That is so awesome. Very, very cool.
All right, so as we do every time on the way out the door, why don't you remind folks where it is that they can interact with you when you're not on the radio with me?
Well, you can find me at J Homestead on Twitter. That's where I spend most of my time making fun of people and arguing with nincompoops. And then you can follow me on Facebook at JR Homestead. And then check out misfitpolitics.weebly.com. There's a piece that was posted yesterday by our very talented editor, Miss Rebecca DeWinter, about autism that will make you cry. Please go check it out.
So, folks, when she's talking about arguing with nincompoops, she's talking about me. No, I'm just playing.
No.
All right, and I, of course, am Rick Robinson. You can find me live here every Tuesday and Thursday right now in this time slot with the Jenn and Rick Show. I'm also typically live Sunday through Thursday on America Off the Rails Now. Tonight, we're actually going to be doing a replay because it's been a really long week. We're actually in talks with a really huge network at this point, so I've been trying to get some of that stuff buttoned up and getting things prepped. So I was up late crossing all the I's and dotting all the T's, and I still have to work tomorrow, and it was the first of the month day job, so it just sucked. So we're going to put up a replay tonight. You can also find Off the Rails on crntalk.com every Saturday and Sunday, and also on various other outlets. And also, keep praying, folks. We're still pending on iHeart, which means they haven't said no yet. So Jenn and Rick might actually land over there. You never know. They'll regret it. They'll regret it afterwards, just like they did with Off the Rails, I'm sure. But this would actually be the third show that we've managed to get on iHeart through KLRN. So we broke the barrier, because for the longest time, Off the Rails was the only one that was making it. The Opinion Nation show with Bryce Robbins was actually the second show. I'm hoping this one becomes the third show, and then I've got Robinson and Wright right behind it. But we shall see. But anyway, we have got to get out of here. I've got to get things prepped so I can get ready to get that replay up, and I will be back with you live tomorrow night right here on KLRNradio.com, where we're going to do the Robinson and Wright show that is now going to be extended, folks. That's right, football season is over, so we are extending to 2 full hours of tormenting liberals and making you smile. We'll be back tomorrow night. Want to thank my co-host for hanging out with me tonight. I know this week's been a little That's
all right. This makes it better.
But anyway, we will see you guys tomorrow night, and we'll be back again live right here on Jenn and Rick on next Tuesday. And as soon as I get logged in and get stuff set up over there, I'll let you guys know when you can catch us over on Lanterns Radio Network too, because I haven't looked at our time slots over there yet. But we're out, folks. Have a great night. Take care. God bless.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then